Welcome back to another episode of Paranormal New Normal. I am your host, as always, Jeremy, here trying to make the world a little more normal, one day at a time. Do I usually do it? No, it's usually impossible. But today, we might be accomplishing that a little bit. Maybe. We'll see. It all depends on factors, governments and whatnot. But we'll get into that later. But first things first, let me introduce my guest who's going to help make us all a little more normal today, hopefully. And that guest is Darlene Greene. She is a GHK-CU and Foundation Cell Activation Technology Consultant, and also a retired U.S. Navy commander, which I had to bring that up, of course. And thank you for your service, first and foremost. I never want to start it so without saying that when I can. So thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And welcome. And first things first, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I've had a fabulous day. How about yourself?
It's freezing here, so I got the space heater running out in the garage right now because it's 30 degrees here, if not lower.
In Arizona, and I'm loving the days. The days are absolutely perfect and beautiful. We had 83-degree temperatures. It was fabulous.
Oh, you're lucky. Every time I went outside for a cigarette at work today, I was freaking dying. So, folks, we are actually here to talk about health today and your body. But you may ask, what's this have to do with paranormal, Jeremy? Why is this show going on even right now? And I'm like, well, first of all, it's my show. I do what I want. Two, it's about advancement in technology for the body, which that is paranormal to some degree. It's scientific, and science is paranormal until we fully explain everything about it. So there you go. There's the link. I explained it. You're welcome. But let's let Darlene start talking now. So the first question I usually ask, I'm going to, of course, change up a little because it's not going to apply to you in any way. So what got you into this field? That's the way I'll put it.
Thanks, Jeremy. That's exactly the right question to ask. I think I was very interested in health for a long time. I've been diagnosed with several autoimmune disorders. My own, chronic fatigue syndrome after my first child in 96, fibromyalgia after my second child in 99, POTS in 2005, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia, where the blood pressure is so low that when you stand up or you get overheated, you just pass out. So I have been working on my health and getting, doing the deep dive research and what can I do? Because anytime you have an autoimmune disorder, you're at high risk for all the things that happened during the pandemic, cancers, heart disease, all of the things that can go wrong. So I've always been interested, but what happened more recently is 2 years ago, my husband was diagnosed with early Alzheimer's, very young. And we saw a very steep neurological decline in those 2 years. So did a lot of deep diving into the research and the science. And the answers that you get in Western medicine are not pretty. The Banner's Alzheimer's Clinic said, well, come back and see us in a year. We'll see how much he's declined. We'll just keep testing him and watching. There was just nothing. And in fact, even the newest drug for Alzheimer's, for my husband's APOE4 type, would cause a brain bleed in 50% of those folks. So no, not an option. So we did we looked at for other modalities, and that included IV stem cell therapy. So we went out of country. We did that 4 times, and we had no real results. We tried hyperbaric chamber, which is supposed to be great for the brain, right? We actually not only did that not help, but I think it made things a little bit worse initially. We completely revamped the diet. We took out alcohol, soda, we took out white flour, sugar. We took out anything that was not genetically, anything that's genetically modified. Everything is clean, organic, you name it. We worked on a sleep protocol. We put in an exercise plan, everything you could possibly do to help with the brain. And we still were watching the decline. He was at a point in time, Jeremy, where he was napping 3.5 hours a day. That's like a lot. You like go and look at someone. Are you alive at 3.5 hour nap in the middle of the day when they've gone to bed at 7 p.m., they've fallen asleep at 7 p.m. at night and they've slept through the whole 12 hours. So this was not good. And he was, not only was he sleeping the day away, but he was also truly disengaged. He was not even trying to engage in conversation. When he did, he was like 3 conversations behind. And he was not even trying to be funny, which is core to his personality. I mean, this is what I fell in love with, is he has a very witty, sharp, funny personality. And he wasn't even trying. So a friend of mine had mentioned, she knew I had gone out of country for stem cells. And she said, you know what, we have been using a new technology. It's a light therapy. It's photobiomodulation. We'll talk about how it works in a little bit. And we have seen amazing results in a very short period of time. There's a ton of testimonials and stories from people who have Alzheimer's and dementia and other very serious illnesses that are dramatically improving. Give it a try. I'm like, you had me at stem cell. So we began using the patches, and in the very first week, Jeremy, he didn't sleep at all. He didn't fall asleep at 7 p.m. He was chattier than he'd been in years. He was not only engaged in conversation, but he was replying appropriately, and he was quick-witted, and he was with it, and he was funny, and he was his whole personality all over again. It was absolutely the most remarkable transformation I could have even believed. In the second week, we recorded the best sleep. We had been basically working on his sleep for years. We had been getting like 15 minutes of deep sleep. In the second week, he got an hour and 25 minutes of deep sleep, which is super good for the brain detoxing. So that was really huge. At the 2.5-month mark, we discovered that he was able to whistle again and drum to the beat, which are kind of neuro things, right? And by the way, his blood pressure, which had been so high they wanted to put him on a medicine, it was like 172/94. His blood pressure had dropped to 135/87. That's a 37-point drop. So tremendous, right? And then at the 5-month mark, I didn't know this. I wish I would have known this, but 15 years ago, he lost his sense of smell. We didn't really know why. I didn't know then that smell is actually closely connected and is a precursor or an early warning indicator for Alzheimer's. So when it's not associated with COVID or other things, right? So this should have been a sign, but I didn't know about it. Nobody did. But 5 months on the patches, he regained his sense of smell. Unbelievable. And then on top of that, he had always had a very large bald spot and hair. The bald spot's closing in. It's almost small. It's chestnut brown hair growing in there, where he's always had sort of gray hair or blonde hair. Never even knew him to have chestnut brown hair. So that's really kind of amazing. So he had his own experience, which was very dramatic. And I had my experience. So anything I'm trying to also for my own autoimmune issues, I had actually broken my foot and sprained an ankle. And I had completely ripped a ligament that needed surgery. And so I had been in pain for 5 months, and I had basically been laid up in a chair. I hadn't been able to go outside, exercise. All the things that I did to keep sane were taken away. And I was really hurting, not just hurting in pain, but depressed. I was not doing well. I wanted to cry every day. Some of that was the pain. Some of that was accepting and finally letting sink in my husband's diagnosis. It was so bad because I would say, honey, can you go get me a glass of ice water? And he would not know how to begin to do that. Like, just couldn't do that. So it was a tough time. I began the patches, and the first thing was there's a patch called Ice Wave, and Ice Wave is just the most amazing thing. It removes pain instantly. And what's fascinating is I'm someone who drugs don't work on. So Tylenol, ibuprofen, Percocet, Vicodin, none of these things really work very well on me. I think I hypermetabolize them. So they've never been effective. So when Ice Wave immediately reduced my pain, I really couldn't believe it. I thought, oh, this must be the moment in time at the 5-month mark that my pain just finally goes away. But then I took the patches off. You wear them 12 hours on, and then you take them off for 12 hours, and then you put them on 12 hours. And so when I took the patches off, 15 minutes later, my ankle was throbbing, and I was like, okay, definitely the patches. But over time, I found I didn't have to take the medicine for my POTS, which was to increase blood pressure. It's called fluorocortisol, and that basically raises your blood pressure so you don't pass out. I was no longer having to take that because I was no longer getting blackouts or lightheaded. I was no longer having regular headaches. I had a pretty severe case of rosacea on my forehead, redness, pimples, And, I'd seen dermatologists and nothing that they prescribed could clear it. In 3 months, the symptoms of that completely cleared. And I had actually a dark spot that faded away. My skin became so soft. It had always been dry and scaly and like a lizard. And I was constantly for as long as I can remember, maybe 15 years, I have been lathering with like Cetaphil cream, not the like lightweight lotion. That was not good enough. I was doing like lathering with cream. I don't have to do that anymore. I'm soft. It's just so nice. And then I also had been struggling with postmenopausal weight loss. Like I just could not lose weight no matter what I was trying to do, working out, eating well, all of that. I mean, I was eating a very, very clean diet. I should have been a string bean. And no, I couldn't lose any weight. But in the first few months, basically 10 pounds just sort of dropped off. And I found I was no longer stress eating. I was no longer depressed. My whole mood lifted. I had fewer body aches. It was just phenomenal. And so really quickly, I was saying to my mom, my dad, my sister, my friends, you guys cannot believe this. You have to try this. And so we had friends, like a friend of mine in her 60s that had Parkinson's, who had tremors since she was 5. She began wearing this patch that raises your GHK-CU. Her tremors went away almost entirely in 3 weeks. My sister, who had been napping all day and had no energy, she all of a sudden was out of bed and had energy. Her microscopic colitis that she had for 6 years, she'd done IV stem cells, steroid, antibiotics, cleared up in 3 weeks. Plantar fasciitis cleared up. So there are tons of stories. There are Agent Orange veterans who are out of bed, but were really at the point of their life on pain meds around the clock, where they are going to be told, here, take this pill. It'll kill you, but it'll improve your quality of life. They didn't do that. Instead, they did the patches. They're out of bed. They're living a great life. Their white cell count dropped. They donated the wheelchair. Just a ton of wonderful stories. And so I'm the kind of person, Jeremy, I really admire your bravery, your courage. You podcasters are just inspiring to me, because I was the kind of person who I posted like twice every 7 years on Facebook. One was like, this daughter just graduated from the Naval Academy, woo-woo. And then the next one was, this daughter just graduated from the Air Force Academy, woo-woo. And that was kind of it. I was not someone who would ever talk publicly. I would not get on, especially if you hit the record button, you can just forget it. But I am at this situation now where this is a life-changing technology, and the studies are there. There's over 90 clinical studies. It can change you no matter what you have going on in your life. And I didn't know about it 2 years ago. And if I would have known about it 2 years ago, where would my husband be today? So he is not cured. And I have to be really careful and make sure that I say a disclaimer, which is, LifeWave products are not intended to cure, treat, diagnose, or prevent any disease, that kind of thing. And in fact, if you would have asked me my title a few months ago, I would have told you I was a stem cell technology consultant. And for those of you outside of the United States, that's what I am to you. For those of you inside the United States and controlled by the FDA, that's why I'm a GHK-CU technology consultant, because this FDA has decided that your stem cells, even the ones in your own body, are a drug. And so even though we have double-blind placebo-controlled studies that show that our patches elevate GHK and then elevate stem cells, we're not allowed to say that. So I can say, however, that we elevate GHK-CU and then share all the host of benefits for that, because that's a very well-studied peptide, copper peptide. I had never heard of it. A lot of people haven't ever heard of that, but I'd be happy to describe the benefits of that if you'd like.
Well, okay, a lot to unpack in that. A lot to unpack, but first things first, I guess, because as far as stem cells go, the main time I ever heard about stem cells when I was a kid was on South. As crazy as that is, that's the one time as a kid I really heard about stem cells, and yeah, it was a funny episode. But I heard about it, of course, as I got older, and they became like the big topic, and one of the big topics in medical field, like the taboo thing of, oh, should we use these or shouldn't we use these? And
right.
I personally have nothing against them. I don't see a reason why we shouldn't use things that are going to help us, but I also can see the downside that a lot of people see of corporations would be fighting for control of it, just like all the other pharmaceutical corporations, and it just would be not good for the consumer. It would not, like, once insurance companies get a hold of it, oh, forget about it.
That's why this is so powerful, because there's nothing going in the body in this patch. This is using light therapy to elevate your own stem cells. There's nothing going in your skin. And what I didn't know about stem cells, so let's talk for a moment about stem cells, because they're fascinating. When you're 30, half of your stem cells are dormant. They're still there. They're in your body. They're floating around, but they're just dormant. They're just sleeping on the job. And when you get to be 60, only a small percentage remain active. So that's why the fewer we have, the faster we age and the slower we heal. So what stem cells can do for you, though, is they reduce inflammation. They trigger the death of old cells. They can self-replicate, and they can differentiate and become anything the body needs: muscle, bone, cartilage, tissue of any kind, brain, heart, lung, liver, kidney. They can become anything. They built you. They're what happened when you came together and you were first building your body. You were built by these stem cells. So what I did in Mexico was exactly that. Very, a lot of people find it very immoral. They have a lot of issues around it. Where did you get those stem cells? Are they good stem cells? Are they going to work? There are definitely a lot more questions around that. I was desperate. I was willing to do anything, but, and they're expensive. Jeremy, we paid $10,000 for IV stem cells per person for each trip we went to Mexico 4 times in that year. That broke the bank. And I was like, okay, well, this is not going to be easy. And if it works, okay, what wouldn't I spend? I would mortgage the house if I had to, right? But but it didn't really work. So if you can think of, if I were to say, so, especially with all of your investigative work and your interest in the things that you study, the paranormal, we know that we have light inside of us. And if I were to look at you with night vision goggles, I would see light, right?
Yep.
Well, and you also know that if you go out in the sun, your body makes vitamin D. I mean, a lot of people were like, you got to get on the sun, get your vitamin D, or that it makes melanin for a suntan, right? So that's called photobiomodulation, is having a chemical result. Basically, the light is doing something to activate and signal in your body to make something. Well, in this case, you have light inside of you, and this little patch, for those that are listening, it's the size of a quarter. It goes on anywhere in your body, and it reflects your own light back at a very specific wavelength. So it's got these nanocrystals and sugars and lysines and various glycerins and things inside of it, but it's hermetically sealed. So you can put it on the outside of your shirt. You can stick it to your any part of your body, and in your pocket, wherever you put it, it's going to work. And what it does then is one of the first things it does is it elevates that very specific copper peptide called GHK-CU. And you can Google copper peptide in PubMed. You will see, there's 50 years of double-blind placebo-controlled studies on copper peptide. They basically, previously, before the X39 patch specifically, and that's got a very paranormal name to it, right? The X39 sounds like a sci-fi movie, but it does, right? That patch elevates GHK-CU, which does the following. So GHK-CU, if you were to Google it, you could find, in fact, I have a book, How to Reverse Aging, a comprehensive guide to copper peptides. And when you look at this book, you would see that there are just a ton of things in here in just the table of contents. It says, copper and the body and copper peptides, copper peptides in the immune system, benefits to the skin, the cardiovascular system. Remind me to tell you about a study they did on the heart, the role of copper in athletic performance, which has kind of been, they've done copper stocks and things of that nature for a long time. Copper peptides in the metabolic system, copper peptides in the brain, big interest in that one. Copper peptides in neurodegeneration, copper peptides and cognitive function, and then, of course, unleashing the power of copper peptides for cell regeneration. But the benefit that a Dr. Lauren Picard has found, and he has his own website called reverseagingwithghk.com, where you can kind of see the studies and you can dig into it, showed GHK-CU increases stem cells and produces growth factors. So you can inject it. In fact, there's a doctor that was doing 4 injections a day and still not getting the same benefit as the X39 patch in a day. So you can inject it, you can put creams on. A lot of people were using creams with GHK-CU because of the improvement to skin and collagen synthesis, and it takes away that photo damage. But the big things GHK does is it's known as an anti-cancer fighter. So it is amazing in resetting the programmed cell death of human cancer cells. And that includes neuroblastoma, leukemia, breast cancer cells, but it does not affect the healthy cells. So it inhibits NFKB-P65, which is believed to promote cancer, but it does not affect healthy cells. It repaired damaged DNA. I mean, what else repairs damaged DNA? And it reset 84 genes to growth or cancer inhibition. In fact, within the first 24 hours of wearing this patch in a different study, they found 4,000 genes were reset to their earlier, healthier expression. There's studies on GHK-CU and the heart and the lungs and the brain, anti-inflammatory, healing, wound healing. I mean, just a ton of amazing benefits.
I mean, wow. Well, okay. First thing I got to ask this before I forget. So, is your family a whole military family? Because you say both your daughters are in the military.
Yeah,
So
yes. My husband did 30 years in the Navy. I have a daughter that's in the Air Force. I have a daughter that's in the Navy. I have 2 sons that were both Marines. One, after getting out of the Marines, used his GI Bill to become an officer in the Navy, and he's going through Navy flight school. So we are all military. We're a joint group here.
well, I mean, honestly, being military is a good way to look into stuff like this, because then the government's not gonna shut you down as fast because you're part of the government in a way, kind of, not exactly up there with the people in the dark room making the decisions, but I mean, I picture X-Files and stuff like this.
The military for us was, and for the kids, was a way to get their college degree. I always viewed service as I just don't feel like kids coming out of college know what they want to do in this world. I'm still like finding my way, right? I mean, we all are, right? We're still like, what do we really want to do?
I was going to say, I could attest to that. I could attest to that 100%. And I mean, my dad, God rest his soul, said his whole life, I'm this many years old and I still know what the fuck I want to do with my life. And
that's right.
He wasn't wrong, because I'm 35 years old and I still don't know what the fuck. Well, actually, I do know because it's podcasting, but I'm not getting paid for it yet. So
yeah. And I actually have a day job now. I'm a director of client services for a network data and security company. I've been a dean of a boarding school. I've been a vice president at McAfee. I've done a lot of very different things. In the Navy, I was a commanding officer 3 times. My last time I was in charge of 1,200 people. So I've had a lot of leadership. And so I know I can do a lot of different things. I will tell you, getting on a podcast was never going to be one of them, but it is now, because I'm so passionate about this technology and the fact that it's not out there. And when I found out about this, and I found out over 300 Olympic athletes wore these patches in the 2008 Olympics, and I found out, like, in a podcast where I was listening to Ivory Sully talk about the fact that Tom Brady wears these patches, I'm like, well, where in the world has this been, and why isn't it out there more? Why don't more people know about this? Why isn't everybody talking about it? Why isn't it on the front page of every newspaper when it's having these kind of miraculous effects? And I don't have a good answer. I mean, there's a really cool. Well, yeah, actually, we do have a good answer, don't we, Jeremy?
We have a good answer, because if it could technically possibly cure most forms of cancer, that's why it's on the market.
That big pharma owns the media, right? And there's nothing that they want to see around this getting out. There was I would love to share with you this study that is 2 studies, one that was on the brain and one that was on the heart, because this was not only something that is neat to read, and there are over 90 clinical studies, and I've read every single one of them. And the inventor has over 150 patents, and most are in reverse aging. He's been on the leading edge of light therapy for for the last 20 years. He actually started the very first patch, and this is near and dear to my heart, but he started the very first patches, the energy enhancer patches, which are amazing, for Navy SEALs, because the government asked him to, hey, we need to figure out a way to keep these guys awake for days at a time without shoving amphetamines and bad things in their body. Can you help us with that? And the energy enhancer was born. So that's the very first patch. And that was 20 years ago. This company's been around quite a while, and we're distributed in over 70 different countries. That's why the countries that are out there that are not in the United States, I can talk to you all day long about activating your stem cells. I have to make the little crosswalk through GHK-CU when I'm talking about it in the United States. But this particular brain study that was done in 2019 by Chevalier, called the CITEC study, there are 3 sessions. One was taken before they put the X39 patch on, and this is just X39. And if you could imagine a red circle covered in redness, that redness is bad. That is inflammation. That's PTSD. That's anger. That's ADHD. That is not good memory. It's like a traffic jam in LA. It's not communicating very well between the left and right hemispheres. After 3 weeks of wearing X39, they did a new EEG. And in the new EEG, you can see the colors all changing. You've got yellows and greens and blues coming in, all these healthy colors, and you're already seeing people reporting improvement, but also you're seeing it in the EEG. At the 6-week point, they did a third EEG, total new color map, all the right balances and colors. And what they found in the study, the actual findings were, yes, it increased GHK-CU. Yes, it supported cell and nerve regeneration. It balanced the brain. It improved coherence. It improved the nervous system. It lowered anxiety. It decreased brain inflammation. It improved memory, focus, cognitive brain function, and task processing. And I got to watch that, not only in my husband, I got to feel it in myself, that lift. I actually have a relative that was very close to me who 1 month on the patches said, I was suicidally depressed, ready to go home and just pack it in. And I have to tell you, the clouds have lifted and I am happy. And how do I even begin to thank you for that? So we have so many people hurting, and mental health is such a big deal today. There's not a drug that does this, that actually balances the brain and there's no side effects. There's no contraindications. You can do this patch no matter what medicine you are on, or whatever. I mean, but people are finding, after being on the patch, they don't have to take their ADHD medicine anymore. They don't have to take their blood pressure medicine anymore. They don't have to take their thyroid medicine anymore. They don't have to take their cholesterol medicine anymore. Lots of improvement. They don't have to take their mental health medicines anymore. And I'm not saying come off of those right away. And I'm not telling you what to do. And I'm just telling you that this is what people have shared. And then there's heart study. Actually, it was a study on the cardiovascular system. So it's really broader than just the heart. In 6 weeks, participants showed this dramatic improvement in their vascular system. And when we think of the vascular system, we often think of just the heart, like I just sort of said, because in 6 weeks, this cardiovascular system began functioning as if it were 8 weeks younger. 8 weeks younger. So it is getting improved. The vascular system through the whole body improved. In fact, the author of this book, Dr. Harmon, he talks about all the different ways you can get GHK-CU, including the patch. But what he said was, he actually found he had a right branch bundle blockage. And when you have a right branch bundle blockage, you're at serious decreased lifespan, because that's not good. And there's nothing they can do medically for that. There's nothing the surgeon can do. There's no medicine or cure. And he went back after wearing the patches 12 or 14 months, I can't remember. And his right branch bundle blockage was gone, just gone. And the cardiovascular doctors were just they were just like, I don't know what to say. That's just not possible.
It seems like this is a miracle.
It is. It is a miracle. It is a miracle. And that's why I'm talking about it, because, the company's exploded, right? And since the X39 patch has come out, we've had 20 times the growth in the last 4 years. And that's because people can't shut up about it. People like me, who would never have talked publicly, are talking about it. We're like, help. How can I not help people with this? Where were all of you people who knew about this 2 years ago when I needed it? And who are you out there right now who is either in need of this yourself, or for your parents, or your spouse, or your kids? There is just amazing. There are people with autism, people with rare genetic disorders are improving every single day. It is just remarkable. And there's a whole suite of packages. There's an anti-inflammation patch that I love. But really, if you were only going to do one, which it's the X39 patch, and you can just do this X39 patch, and guess what it cost, Jeremy? So I told you I spent like $10,000 to go, overseas and get one of us. So 20,000 every time we went. Not overseas. I say overseas. That's my military talking. Just across the border, really, to Guadalajara. But this X39 is a sleeve. It's an envelope. It has 30 of these little patches in it. You wear them 12 hours and then you take it off and you put a new one on. And there are 30 in here and it's $99. It's $150 retail, or you can pay $99 wholesale. Why wouldn't anybody buy it wholesale? And you can find it, and you don't even have to have a prescription. You're welcome to consult with your doctor. They should know what GHK-CU is, and if not, you can show them the studies and the science and the website. But it's sort of like going to the salad bar and getting a salad, or walking outside and getting some sunshine. It's your body doing and optimizing and facilitating all of the harmony that it's capable of healing through light.
It's actually funny because I just had a guest on about 2 weeks ago, Tom Palladino, and he is a scalar light worker. He's a scalar light scientist. He's been using scalar light through photographs to heal people. What you don't know what scalar light is, it's basically just the light from the moon and the stars and the sun. All three things produce it, and it's just, he actually talks about it as possibly being able to, if it ever could happen with the monopolies out there, but it could replace electricity 100% one day if people actually were willing to do it.
I will definitely listen to that one. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, it's probably releasing in a month or two, but the video's out there. But I mean, basically, it could provide free energy for the world if it was harnessed.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, and when you think about the people in pain who need help, I mean, when you've got a patch, a lightwave patch that can take you out of pain instantly, over clothing, like I've patched people over clothing. I had this really cool experience. I was having a blood draw and my phlebotomist was just wincing. And I said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "No, my knee is just killing me." And I said, well, do you want me to help you with that? And she said, "Well, how can you help me with that?" And I said, "Well, what's your pain level? 1 to 10. She said, "It's a 12. I said, "Yes." I pulled out the Ice Wave. The Ice Wave is 2 patches, a tan one and a white one. I stuck them on her knee, and instantly her pain went to zero. She started to cry. She started to dance around the office, and she just said, "I have not been out of pain in months. I cannot even begin to thank you for that." So that is a very wonderful thing to do for someone. I can't tell. It is like the most fun I have ever had is Ice Wave patching somebody and getting them out of pain instantly. It's just a joy.
It seems it'd be amazing, like to actually just go around and be able to help people in pain.
Yes.
I mean, so you guys can sell these in the United States, right? Even though
yes, basically you can order them from my website. But I'm actually happy to help you. Like which patches would be best for me based on, which kind of things do you have going on. So there are certain patches that, for example, would be really good for anybody having to support the body's systems, the neurological systems, or, if someone has swollen and painful joints or fast growing rogue cells or the virus or whatever, there are patches that are very specifically helpful for those things. So I'm happy to consult, and they can reach out to me on my website, but they can also just order them from the website. And it's IamReverseAging.com. And you can dive into the science. You can see the videos. You can see how it works videos. You can see the inventor talking to practitioners, kind of getting very medically technical. I'm not a doctor, but I enjoyed that presentation anyway. You can see it on animals. There's a whole line for veterinarians and for people owning pets that gets them out of pain. I have friends who are faster to patch their pet than they are themselves because, that's their baby. And so we can help with your pets. We can just help with anybody. And yeah, no prescription required, no contraindications. You can continue to take your meds. You can continue any modality of therapy that you're doing, including chemotherapy. We recommend if you're in the middle of chemotherapy or radiation, just wait for 3 days to start back up on the patching again, not because they're not working, but the chemo and the radiation just kills everything, and you're just wasting your money. You're wasting your pouches. And then the only people that we really can honestly say we're just not really sure it would be advisable is someone who has an organ transplant, because it's going to boost the immune system, and that boost of the immune system is something that they have to be very careful around. So that's not to say that there aren't people that are doing it, because last ditch effort, they're dying, and it's like there's nothing else for me to try, and people have, but it's one of the things that they say we would caution you to be very much talking with your doctor.
Yeah, I can definitely see how an organ transplant would become an issue with that. But
yeah.
So here's where I got to bring it into the paranormal a little bit.
Go right ahead.
Because they work on the brain, and as many or anybody really in the spiritual field will tell you, everybody has some kind of ability in them, whether it's being an empath, being a medium, being all those clairvoyant, all those other different names for different senses that you can enhance. Everybody has one usually. So could these patches actually unlock parts of the brain that we don't use yet, because they would be able to activate the cells that would be required to get that part of the brain working?
I can't answer that, but I can say I think stem cells can do anything. There's nothing I don't think stem cells can do. So if it's meant to be, and you're supposed to have a healthy functioning something, fill in the blank, then I believe stem cells can do that.
And yeah, because I mean that's the first thing that came to my mind, is like, because I've been told before on the show, I don't know if you heard that episode or not, but I've been told on the show that I am an empath, that I just haven't fully awakened it yet. I'm supposedly on the process of it, and chaos ensues because of that. But so I mean, it's interesting, because if this would be a way for people to open their abilities, I mean, right. They say a great spiritual awakening is coming in the near future. We don't know exactly when, of course, but it's coming. More and more people are waking up every day and realizing they have these abilities they didn't have before, whether it's just to talk to spirits or to sense them, or to be able to be empathic to humans even, and just sense other humans' auras better. Like, there's so many different abilities that people can have that are mentally set, of course. We're not X-Men. We're not going to shoot ice out of our fingers. Come on now. But
I mean, it doesn't matter what you're trying to do, what your talents and skills are. You can do anything a lot better when you're feeling better, you're getting deeper sleep, you're having more energy, you are not in pain, you are, having faster recovery, you're getting mental clarity. All of the things that this does, you're going to be able to focus and think and be clearer about whatever that might be. I mean, I don't think we can reach our full potential for anything if we're in pain, or we're hurting, or we're depressed, or our body's covered in inflammation, which it's hard to avoid inflammation right now. And inflammation is the root of so much evil, because of the water we drink, the air that we breathe, the toxins in the food that we eat, all of the things, those toxins affect us, and clearing out the body can only help you in whatever medium or skill or anything that you're trying to do.
Which actually, I was just thinking, I believe that's one disease that you haven't mentioned yet. Does it work with diabetes?
What I have to do is I have to avoid the use of the name diabetes, and say the like A1C and regulating sugar in the blood. Yes. Yes, it supports that system amazingly well. We have a few patches that are particularly good for that. There's a patch called glutathione. Are you familiar with glutathione, Jeremy?
Can't say I am, but I'm also not in the medical field. So
okay. So I was actually taking glutathione before I knew anything about these patches. Glutathione is your body's master antioxidant and immune booster. And so it was something that a lot of people began to take, or NAC, which is a precursor for glutathione, as the pandemic rolled around. I was getting glutathione through an IV, or also orally through a gel. And that was very much recommended by my doctor, my naturopathic doctor. Having said that, people who use this patch find their glutathione levels are elevated by 300% and they stay there for 24 hours, where my IV increased my glutathione levels 27% for 7 minutes. So dramatically better. And the glutathione not only protects your DNA from damage and repairs damaged cells, but it protects protects hearing and eyesight. It actually increases your length of life. The people that live the longest have the highest levels of glutathione. So if you go to the blue zones and the places that people live the longest in their hundreds, they have very high levels of glutathione. One of the things glutathione does is not only improve organ function, but it protects the myelin sheath, which people who have Parkinson's are very familiar with. But it also helps with the diabetes or other things by detoxifying, getting out heavy metals. In fact, we'll dive into this. Anybody who's had the vaccination, anybody who's had COVID, anyone who's even been near, not anyone, but some people who have been around people that have been vaccinated and have had shedding, have spike proteins. So if you had the vaccination or you had COVID, you have spike proteins, and spike proteins are bad. They are really going to mess you up long term. They affect your lungs, they affect your brain, they affect your long-term health in very subtle, sneaky ways over a long period of time. So you got to get rid of them. And there are people that know how to get rid of them. But what I found is X39, Eon, and glutathione, the combination of these three, get rid of spike proteins in as quick as 6 weeks. And we've done live blood cell studies that show that there were 6 cells covered in spike proteins, and 6 weeks later, they're all gone except one, and that guy was on his way out the door. So, we really have an amazing capability, and all that's doing is it's a different lattice structure, elevating a different peptide to make a different biochemical response. They're all photobiomodulation.
Interesting. I mean, this sounds incredible. Because it's definitely funny you say shedding, because my wife says I shed like a damn cat with my beard hair. And it's funny because that never used to happen until say it's 23, so 3 years ago, when I got a couple of shots at the local college during a high pandemic era. So yeah. And I never got any more than those two because I didn't trust it after that. But all right, actually, let me ask this, because can it reverse certain things, such if, say, something possibly made you infertile, say?
Yes, it can reverse things, because it's basically resetting your genes to a healthier state. So, and it's going in and repairing and rejuvenating and regenerating. So there's, what can't it do? What can't it do? I will tell you this, that's also funny for those, I have probably 3 different friends who have said to me, these should come with a warning around the fact that, your husbands are going to be chasing you around the house because the hormones are getting balanced. Gentlemen, their testosterone's going up to their normal, proper levels. And people are feeling and seeing the results of that. And that's great.
Going to put a certain blue pill out of business. Jesus.
And good for that, because the blue pill has some negative side effects, and this doesn't have any negative side effects.
It does. Oh shit! But I've talked about that on podcasts before, so it doesn't bother me. But oh god, yeah. I'm truly curious about this now, and I was looking into this over the last couple of days anyway, just because I like to do a little research before I talk to people, but I don't want to learn it all, because I want the people to explain to me a little bit, because then I like to learn. That's the point of this podcast here, is for me to learn. So it's it's my education for the day usually.
I love that about you. Your podcasts are so varied and so interesting, and so full of such a unique perspective. And I really appreciate your open-mindedness and your open-minded audience, and just the fact that you do what you do. From somebody who just had never even considered being on a podcast, it feels to me very brave and courageous to be vulnerable and transparent every time you get on here and be your real self and talk about your real world things. That just, I'm very impressed by that. And I'm still very new at doing podcasts. It's still very scary to me. I just feel like I have to do this and get the word out, because This was so life-changing for me, my family. And I just hope that it can help somebody.
I mean, I personally feel like businesses should be in, I mean, maybe, I mean, yes, obviously provide health insurance for your employees still, but maybe
Yeah.
provide this for your employees as well. Because
Wouldn't that be so smart?
if your employees are having a bad day mentally, I mean, I'm in sales. If I go into work and I'm in a funk,
Right.
you think I'm gonna be dying to pick up the phone and just talk to
Yeah.
random people?
Yeah. Or how about throwing those energy enhancers on you, right? They give you energy, not like a espresso or a Red Bull, but energy all day. Like you don't dip in the middle of the day. You don't need that like middle of the day chocolate and caffeine. You just sort of keep on going. And the reason the athletes were wearing it is because they were performing so much better, and they were having faster recovery. But for me, I love that it burns an extra 300 to 600 calories a day. It makes the other patches more effective. And I don't dip. I have energy all day long in a way that I didn't have before. It's kind of funny. The very first week I was wearing these patches, my whole life I've hated cooking. I just haven't liked it. And this first week on the patches, I was in the kitchen. I was cooking. I was like cooking. I'm like, I don't know why I ever hated cooking. Cooking isn't so bad, but it was because I had the energy. It was end of day, but I still had the energy to cook. And those kinds of things matter for me, particularly right now, when making or not making a healthy meal for my husband is sort of really important right now.
Yeah, of course. And so altogether, how many different patches do you guys offer?
So there's a suite of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Well, 10, 11 for humans and one for pets.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that pet one could be reinventing like animal care because vets are so freaking expensive.
Oh, well, I can't even tell you. I have friends that have horses. They've put them on their hoofs and seen amazing difference. There's actually a horse video on my website that you can watch. That's amazing. A lot of veterinarians, particularly for horses, but also cats and dogs and everything. And it's really, the AccuLife patch is the same as IceWave. It's just marketed differently. It's exactly that same pain patch that I was talking to you about that helped my ankle. Or that's helped my husband's back. And it's kind of funny when I help my husband with he's got a lower back issue that comes and goes. And, because of his memory issues, he forgets. So I'll patch him with IceWave and it will go away. And he's like this little kid with this incredulous look on his face, like, wow, it's just gone. It's just disappeared. How do you do that? He looks at me like I'm kind of like a magical witch, right? And then we laugh, and then the next time we have to do it again, I'm like, do you want me to put the IceWave patch on you? And he's like, sure. Like, he doesn't really remember what that does. And then I patch him, and then it goes away, and he's just like all shocked again. It's really fun.
Okay, you may just give me the toe of this episode right there. I just kind of thought of something, but I love it when I do that in an episode. It makes it so much easier in life. But I mean, I honestly am just at like a loss for words because it seems like this is such an amazing product. And I mean, it should be so. Is it? I mean, you would think it's sold in pharmacies all over the country would be where it should be.
No, it should be, but it isn't. It's direct sales only, and so you need to get them through me. You just kind of go to my website, reach out, and contact me by email. It ships to your house. I help you kind of make sure that you understand any potential. One of the only things you have to do is drink a lot of water. Drink half your body weight in ounces in water every day. There's not a lot of complexity to it. So, but yeah, no, it's in doctor. There are doctors doing it. I've actually once heard that 60% of our company are practitioners, but it doesn't feel like that when I look at our audience of people using. And when I was thinking, although there's a dermatologist named Dr. Adam Shiner. He's famous, super famous, like world renowned, been on the Dr. Oz show, been on the doctor's show.
I've heard the name. I've heard the name.
Adam Shiner. So he does a very special eye surgery for women and men. And it's just like one of a kind. And he's like the expert. He requires his patients to be on the X39 patch 3 months before the surgery and then 6 months after, or he strongly encourages. I actually can't say he requires. I think he does require, but I'm not entirely sure. I actually was talking with his wife at a conference recently. and she was telling me that they just found so much improvement. It's like 40% faster healing with X39. And so someone that's five weeks out of surgery without X39 looks, actually, no, somebody that's 10 days out of surgery with X39 looks like somebody that's been out of surgery 5 weeks. That's how much difference and improvement there is. So there are doctors, there's a lot of, but they need to be open-minded doctors. Like I have some doctor friends, Jeremy, I'm so sad because, I mean, they won't even really look at it. They're like, no, I'm very traditional. They're pharmaceutical trained. And that's the only thing in their mindset. If it's not a drug, they don't trust it. Your body is so smart. It works in so many mysterious ways that why wouldn't you trust that it knows what to do with a little help from a little light?
Because they make money off the pharmacies. That's how they make money off the big pharma. That the people that they send the cute girls into the office, they get the doctor to sign up, and bam, the doctor's making a little kickback and rebates here and there, and that's how the doctors make this money. They do that. They can have the big houses and the fancy cars and all the restaurants they want to go to in their life.
I have a pharmaceutical friend who is very close to leaving pharmacies, to leaving her pharmacist business and just doing patches, because she's talking about the fact that I have seen more miracles in 6 months than I have ever seen handing somebody a drug. And why would I want to stay in that business when I could be in this business? And there is a business model, Jeremy. There's actually, I mean, I don't ever really talk about the business side of this, but there are people making really nice money, and it's a passive residual income so that you can retire on that, right? That offers a security blanket for a lifetime. And all you have to do is try the product and share the product and help people, help other people. It's just really not that hard. As podcasters like you have this huge platform where, you try the product, you experience the results, and all of a sudden you share it with people and they come to you and they buy it under you. And I can help facilitate that with anybody that's interested in doing the business part of it, because it's just not that hard. And the product websites with the study and the science and the testimonies, it kind of sells itself. Really, it's such a no-brainer to try it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely gonna be talking to you after the show about something here. I know I plan on that from the beginning anyway, but I just, I wanted to kind of hear the sales pitch, so to speak.
Well, and think about it. People who can't afford it can actually afford it. I know $99 is a lot for some people. But you can get a couple of people to, refer to a couple of friends, and all of a sudden that's paid for you. So, in this program, there's really nobody that is excluded from the option and the opportunity to try the product, because you can get other people in and help pay for your own product that way.
Exactly. I mean, it's same thing I told Tom when he was talking about Scalar Light. Like, I think this needs to be a worldwide thing that everybody starts to experience. And I mean, yeah, of course, there's a few different people who can't do it because of certain restrictions and whatnot. But I mean, for this product, it's very low. It's not like it's not like you're saying like half the country can't do it because they have this. No,
I can't think of anybody who wouldn't benefit. Except those organ donors. Then they may still benefit, but I would be cautious. But we all have something. We all have issues. I can't believe I talk about my autoimmune disorders and the things that I've experienced. But we're human, and I'm kind of old enough to go, I've had my bumps and bruises along the way. I earned my traumas, honestly, over time, and I've gone through therapies to help heal them. This is the most remarkable thing I have ever seen. This is the thing that would pull me out of my comfort zone into a place to speak publicly and internationally about it.
Which that's amazing, and this is gonna get big. I can sense it. It's gonna get big one day.
It
I
is.
mean, sooner than later, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's exploding, and it's sort of like you're on the forefront. I mean, stem cells are already exploding, and they expect it to just be huge, right? And even though the FDA has issued a bit of a gag order, and we have to speak in terms of GHK-CU, then elevating stem cells, ultimately they can't ever stop the testimonials and the stories of people who are experiencing these results. They're crazy. And my website's got a ton of pictures of. There's a picture of a scar, of an open heart surgery scar that looks really bad, and then a year later is really deep, and then 1 month on X39, and that has completely remodeled, and it's flattened, and it looks amazing. And you'll see pictures of people who look like their daughters over time, and the wrinkles that have gone away, and the hair growth, and the bulging discs that have straightened out. There's nothing that can fix a bulging disc. And yet in 14 months, you can see pictures of a bulging disc that's gone away. There's just the hair growth. I mean, I talked about my husband's, but even for any of your audience that's looking visually, I have all of these unruly little broccoli sprouts that just won't lie down, and they're just like little fuzzies all over my head. And that's as a result of this. And I was at a place in my life where I was experiencing hair loss. So to not have the hair loss and instead have hair growth is a lovely thing, but it's really a sign of inner health. It's not just about my hair, right? And wrinkles are not just about, the fact that I may look younger, but that's a thing of collagen is the most abundant protein in your body. And so if you're looking wrinkly and you're not looking as good on the outside, that means that you don't have enough collagen through every cell in your body, and you need that collagen. That's so much a force of life. So we're basically helping people optimize their body to a state of homeostasis, whether that's hormones or whether that's, cells or whatever.
And that's the miraculous part, because it's a cosmetic and a medicinal product in one, kind of, which is unheard of.
Yes.
It's really unheard of.
It is. I mean, if we just said, hey, this helps grow your hair, people would be rushing to it. If we said, hey, this helps you prevent wrinkles, people would be rushing to it. If we said, hey, this gets rid of pain, people would be rushing to it. This does all of it, it does all of it. And anything else that you might be needing. And I'm probably overstating, and I have to back off and say, I can't say that this cures, treats, or prevents any kind of disease, but even if it does, I can't say it, and we have to be careful from a company perspective. But people with acne, unbelievable clearing of acne. Just you name it. Tumors.
Actually, you saying acne kind of made me think. There is one question I should ask: is it safe for any age, or is there like a certain minimum age people need to be to do this?
I will tell you, the company will say they have not tested on pregnant women or children. I will tell you that I don't know. There are thousands of children on these patches, and babies on these patches, and pregnant women on these patches. There's a very dear friend of mine, the one I mentioned to you that introduced me to the patches. She has a daughter who is 16 who has a rare genetic disorder. And she actually started the patches because she watched an autistic child who was nonverbal at 4 and was taking the patches and began to speak for the first time in their life. And so she said, let's try it. And her daughter, she was a kindergarten level academically, was all of a sudden 3rd and 4th grade within 5 weeks. And at the 9-month part of testing, she actually registered in executive functioning as a 16-year-old, which the tester said, I don't understand. She didn't even register at all for executive functioning the last time we tested. And now she's testing normal as a 16-year-old. So I would say I would very quickly patch my kids, even an infant. I would patch anybody, because it's just helping your own body do what your own body knows how to do.
Interesting, really interesting. And I have some friends I'm going to recommend this to immediately, because they're going through some stuff, and like some serious medical stuff. And if this could help them, then I would feel horrible if I didn't mention it to them.
That's exactly it, Jeremy. That's exactly how I feel. How can we not, right? It's like an obligation once you know about it. because I mean, and I have trouble driving down the street. I see somebody with a wheelchair or a walker. It's all I can do to not pull over and say, "Would you like some Ice Wave? Can I get you some X39? This will change your life." And I just have to like not do that. I just have to hold back.
Yeah. I mean, the one way I mean, from a business standpoint, the one way I would be getting this out there is I'd be going to special schools for children with developmental issues. I'd be going to, I guess, I mean, heck, even homeless shelters and stuff where there's people that are disabled and can't afford to like live. Like, they're the people that would need this the most. And if it helps them get back on their feet and all this, then that's how you make it new. That's how you make news. I mean, that's how you would make news. That's how people wouldn't be able to shut up about it. And that's when the government would be like, okay, we can't block this any longer. We have to do something about this, and we have to embrace it. Otherwise, we're going to look bad.
Yeah, I hope so.
I mean, trust me. And I understand. I'm not just saying like it's an easy fix here. It's a long road.
I'm not really in sales the way you're much better at this sort of thing, and you'll have greater ideas and vision of how to do this right. I'm new to the whole thing.
I have to trust me. I never did sales really before this job either, and I just kind of have a knack for it. I mean, I think the podcasting helps a lot because I just sell myself on a daily basis. But it's just, I mean, sales is kind of, I have to talk people into buying things every day. So, I mean, it's kind of like a natural thing to me. It's just secondhand. But so please tell people where they can find out more about this, where they can find you if they want to reach out for help. Just promote yourself to the fullest.
Thank you, Jeremy. That's so sweet. So go to the website, IamReverseAging.com. I am reverse, and make sure you include the E there, reverseaging.com. And you will find a way to buy it. You'll find a way to contact me if you would like some help. I'm happy to put your order in. You don't have to do it yourself. It's a little, it's just not as easy as it should be intuitively, but I'm happy to help you in any way I can. I will consult with you. I will talk with you through whatever your issues are and help you figure out what the right patches are. And if you just want to start on X39 only, just do that. Get that one going. That will be huge.
And folks, trust me, you're going to be seeing clips from this episode pretty soon from me. So make sure you check this out because you're going to be hearing a lot about it from me pretty soon, I'm pretty sure. And heck, I might try some myself for my family because who knows? I mean, everybody on Earth has some kind of issue, whether you know it or not yet. Everybody on Earth has some kind of issue that they either are going to develop or is already developed. And if this can help, then God damn, why wouldn't you try it? That's my thing. Why wouldn't you try it if it's going to help? I mean, worst comes to worst, you got $100. Oh, I mean, yes, trust me, I know $100 would be a big difference in life. I get that, but I mean, if
there's a money back guarantee. Did I mention that? You have a 30-day money back guarantee as well when you buy. I mean, so
there you go, folks.
You have nothing to lose. You just have a lot to gain.
And you didn't mention that. That's why I'm happy I said that then because you didn't mention that, and that would even reassure people more. And that's what people want to do is be reassured when they are going to try something new. So that's amazing. But folks, I want to thank you for listening to this episode. And you might ask, Jeremy, why are you doing episodes like this now? Well, you guys made me the #1 science podcast on Goodpods, so I should have a little science in my podcast here and there besides the ghost and the Bigfoots and all the other unexplainable science events that we love. We need to also talk about some science events that are getting proven. And I mean, I love medical technology upgrades. It's a great thing. It's improving life, and that's what the paranormal is. We're trying to figure out what hasn't been figured out yet. So that's why this episode is important. And you'll hear me talk about it in the future. Trust me. I guarantee this is going to come up at some point, like every other episode does at other points. But thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Keep liking and subscribing because you may be #1, and I'd like to stay there for a while. It took a long time to get there, so let's stay there.
Congratulations.
And if you, oh, trust me, it came as a surprise. I literally switched my category to science, and all of a sudden I'm #1. I'm like, I'm being on podcasts that I loved listening to so much that I became a podcaster. So there's that. But to be modest, but you all know where you can find me. If you don't know, or you're new, or you're checking this out because it's different from the normal episodes, shame, 1. And 2, check the outro. The outro is everywhere you can find me. So please check it out, and please check out IamReverseAging.com. I ask you all to do it. It could change your life. It sounds like it really can change your life. And like I said, you'll hear more about from me in the future. But until then, I will see you all tomorrow. I'm pretty sure for another interview. But have a good night, and I hope you had a good Halloween. Have a good one, folks. And thank you one more time, Darlene, for coming on. I don't even know if I said it already yet. I'm so excited about this product. But
Jeremy, it's my pleasure and my honor to be with you tonight. And I really I'm grateful for you and for your podcast and all that you offer the world. So thank you back.
Oh, of course. It's not an issue. And folks, we'll see you soon.